With the explosion of the digital economy, cybersecurity is becoming more and more essential, and no one knows that more than Dr. J, Senior Vice President and Deputy Chief Information Security Officer at Mastercard. We met up with Dr. J to get her insights on the key areas businesses should prioritize to mitigate risk and ensure a secure digital future.
I think of this in three areas. There's the infrastructure piece, that's all of your technology. There's the email and web piece. Out of 230 million detected threats, 219 million of them were email related. So that is your interface between you. That's the connective tissue between you, the customer, the partner, the business. That's the way we kind of communicate with each other. So that's really, really important. And then the last one, the third one, I think about is partnerships. Our third-party partners, our fourth party. A lot of times we call them nth party, like the number N, because that partnership, that number can go on and on and on and on. And those are downstream effects. So if you have a partner that's a partner of another partner, and they get breached, that ends up having some upstream impacts eventually. So I look at it in those three areas: your infrastructure, your web, your email, and then your third party or your partner risks.
Now, in your presentation as well, you highlighted the significance that technology, tactics, and even talents play in addressing cybersecurity. Can you briefly explain the role of each of these elements and how it strengthens a company's security?
Sure. Your technology, it really goes right back to what I was just talking about. The infrastructure, your email and web, that has to be very, very secure. You have to have a knowledge of where your assets are. How are you controlling those assets from a security perspective? Super, super, super important. When I think about, so that's just technology, the tactics. These are how. The technology is the what. The tactics are the how. How are you protecting? What security controls are you using? What tactics are the adversary using against you? One of the things I've learned just throughout my journey is the tactics can be a little bit different. The methods, the technology that the adversary is using against us ends up being the same, but sometimes their tactics are different. We have to know what their tactics are against us so we can tune ourselves to be able to protect ourselves against those. So that's the tactics. The last piece is the talent. The richness of all organizations are the people that work in it. And we call this the insider threat because a lot of times the adversary is using us, using and harping on our heartstrings, pulling on us to, our ability to trust, pulling that when you send me an email, I'm going to believe that it's really, really you. We have to make sure now that we are training our talent just to be able to acknowledge, hey, this is a threat, this is a risk to us, and that everybody is on the front line. Cybersecurity is just not just the focus of the cybersecurity organization, but it's also the focus of everyone in the company because we're all on the front line, we're all receiving information. We all have to make sure we verify, we know who we're talking to. So our talent and being able to train that talent to think like that is really, really important. So I talk about technology, tactics, and talent. Those are my 3 T's.
Speaking on the threat models and the motives behind these attacks, can you shed some light on these threats and how businesses can better prepare themselves to protect themselves against attacks other than the talent you just spoke about?
So, one common threat model that I'm thinking about is malware as a service. Malware, of course, we started out with antivirus, right? It's gotten worse and bigger and bigger and bigger. The adversary now is not just doing, not just sending one person. It's a load of malware being sent all across the company. And all you need is just one person to click an email, and now the entire company has, is going through some type of incident. Malware as a service is going to be super, super important because on the dark web, that makes it relatively easy for anyone with modest level of skills to be able to now impact an entire organization. We have to think about that as we think about our threat models. We have to think about now where we are most impacted. I talk a lot about spear phishing. My goodness, that is going to continue to get more and more and more sophisticated. When you think about our devices, the Internet of Things, these are all of these devices that we have that weren't initially built to be smart. So now we have all of these smart devices, these Internet of Things devices. Everything is connected. You'll start hearing, you've heard of cars that are now able to self-drive. That is increasing the threat profile. That is increasing what our threat landscape looks like. And so we have to really be smart about the controls we put in place, making sure we know, even on our smartphones, when we get new updates. Little do we know, some of our applications are updating to say, turn this on, turn on your GPS tracking, turn on your location services, turn off this privacy control. You have to sometimes go and double click. I do it very often to make sure that all of the controls are set to what I want them to be set for. So they're personal controls, because we have a lot of Internet of Things devices that now permeate into the workplace. Things that we thought were personally ours, that, oh, this is just mine. Well, now we're storing company data on our personal devices. You know what I mean? If you have a cell phone and your company is using a BYOD device, a bring your own device, which means you can take your own cell phone and have your company email on it. Now my company email is on my personal cell phone, and I have to make sure the controls are there for that. So when I think about Internet of Things, oh my goodness, the more things we want connected, the more convenience we want, the more comfortable we want to be in interacting and engaging, the more we have to make sure those security controls are tight and intact so that we are protected.
And that surely impacts when you want to do cross-border payments of any sorts.
Absolutely.
Now, Mastercard has also made several acquisitions in the cybersecurity space, such as Risk Recon, Ethoca, New Data Security. How have these acquisitions strengthened Mastercard cybersecurity to start off with, and how businesses stay secure in an increasing connected world?
So we look at ourselves, Mastercard, as the core of trust. Even before cybersecurity became a really big topic, Mastercard was the core of trust, because you have to trust that when you use your card for payments, when you use a Mastercard rail for payments, that is going to happen. That transaction is going to go through. You're not going to have any issue. So we've had already embedded cybersecurity things that we were using, tools that we were using, and we said, you know what? With cybersecurity becoming, much bigger, we have to make sure that we share some of our secret sauce with the world. And so this has been a great opportunity for us as we, acquire other companies and we use them in our own spaces to help protect Mastercard. We're trying to teach others and be really a participant in the community. I like to always say, if you're not participating, then you're being impacted. We don't want people to be impacted by cybersecurity. We want you to participate in cybersecurity. So our acquisitions like Risk Recon, we've got Baffin Bay, which now is an AI-generated tool that we're rolling into Risk Recon. These are tools that we've used and are using to help with identity, with verification, to make sure that we're doing the right things in terms of handling data, securing data and data insights. Well, that information and the way we do that should be shared with everyone else so that you all can be prepared to use it in the same way.